Olive oil. We all have it in our pantry, right? We're told it's this amazing superfood, great for your heart, packed with all the good stuff. But what if I told you that a huge chunk of the olive oil sold right here in Australia is a complete scam? Yeah, there's a pretty dirty secret the industry does not want you to know, and today we're going to crack it wide open.
So, get this. Independent testing has found that up to 70%, that's 70, of the oil on our supermarket shelves labeled extra virgin is either fake, watered down with cheaper oils, or has just plain gone bad. This isn't just a few bad apples, it's a massive, industry-wide problem happening right under our noses.
I mean, this quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. You're paying top dollar for what you think is a premium health food, but in way too many cases, you're just getting cheap vegetable oil with a bit of green food coloring and maybe a hint of olive flavor. It's wild.
And believe me, that subtitle, it's not an exaggeration. Research shows the global olive oil business is one of the most fraudulent food industries in the world, and we, the Australian consumers, are the ones paying the price. So the first step is just understanding how this whole scam even works.
But okay, here's the good news. We're not just going to sit here and talk about the problem. We're going to find the solution. I promise. By the end of this section, you'll have the exact tools you need to spot the fakes and basically become your own olive oil detective next time you're at the shops.
All right, it really boils down to 3 super simple red flags you can look for. First, check the origin. Where's this stuff actually from? Second, look at the bottle itself. Is it doing its job to protect the oil? And third, you gotta check the price. You know the saying, if it seems way too cheap to be true, it probably is. Okay, let's zoom in on that first step, the origin. If you pick up a bottle and see these really vague phrases like blended from EU countries or product of Spain, Greece, and Tunisia, that is a massive red flag. It's basically code for, we bought the cheapest leftover oil we could find from a bunch of different places, mixed it all together, and put it in this bottle. The quality is all over the place, and it's almost always bad.
So now, let's put that knowledge to the test. We're going to take a walk down the supermarket aisle, so to speak, and look at the big, popular brands that you see everywhere, the ones that consistently fail to meet the standard for real extra virgin olive oil.
All right, first up, we have what our source calls, and I quote, hands down the worst widely available olive oil in Australian supermarkets. That's Pompeian. It's actually an American brand, and despite charging a premium price, multiple independent tests have shown that the stuff inside is, well, frankly, it's garbage.
This table really shows you the giant gap between what Pompeian promises and what you actually get. On the label, you'll see all this fancy jargon like first cold press and pretty pictures of the Mediterranean to sell you a nice story. But the reality? Lab tests show it fails basic purity tests, it's often cut with cheaper refined oils, and the flavor has literally been described as chemical and soapy. Yikes.
Okay, next on the list, the supermarket house brands. You know the ones. Both Woolies and Coles have their own extra virgin olive oil, and unfortunately, they fall right into the same trap. They're all about hitting a low price point, not about delivering genuine quality. And here's where they trip up. See a pattern? They both use those vague, blended origins we just talked about. The Woolies brand has failed purity tests because of high fatty acids, which is a sure sign of old or badly made oil. And the Coles one? It comes in a clear plastic bottle, which is a huge no-no, because light just destroys olive oil. It also fails the simple fridge test. See, real extra virgin olive oil should get thick and cloudy when it gets cold. This stuff doesn't, which suggests it's been heavily refined.
And now for the imposters. These are the brands that lean really hard on their Italian heritage to sell you what is, at the end of the day, just industrial blended oil. Brands like Bertolli and Filippo Berio, they have a name people trust, but the product inside the bottle just doesn't live up to that romantic image they put on the label.
These guys are absolute masters of marketing. They'll slap an Italian flag on there, show you a lovely rustic farm, and then sell you blended oil. They're cashing in on decades of trust, especially with older Aussies who grew up with these brands. What's crazy is some have actually been caught for fraud over in Europe. And the sneakiest part? They often use dark glass bottles, the right kind of bottle, but it's just good packaging hiding a pretty mediocre product. Okay, so after all of that bad news, you are probably asking this exact question. If the supermarket shelves are just loaded with fakes and imposters, what on earth are you supposed to buy? Well, don't worry, because it's time to meet the heroes of this story. Now we're going to look at the top-quality Australian producers who are making genuine, world-class extra virgin olive oil that is absolutely 100% worth your money.
And honestly, the difference between the fake stuff and the real deal is like night and day. The fakes? Vague origins, no harvest date, clear bottles, and a taste that's just oily, chemical, or stale. Real Aussie oil, like a Cobram Estate, it comes from a single place, they proudly print the harvest date right on the bottle, it's always in dark glass, and the flavor is amazing. It's fruity, grassy, and has a peppery kick.
And here is the science to back it up. See, polyphenols are those amazing antioxidants that give olive oil all its health benefits. This chart shows it all. Tests on fake brands like Moro show they barely have any, but the real Australian oils, like Red Island, they are packed with them. You know that little peppery tickle you get in the back of your throat from good olive oil? That's the healthy stuff. That's the polyphenols.
So who are the winners you should be looking for? Cobram Estate, out of Victoria, is kind of the gold standard, and you can find it almost everywhere. Red Island is a fantastic premium oil from Tassie with a really intense, beautiful flavor. And keep an eye out for Boundary Bend Estate. That's the parent company of Cobram, and their quality is also top-notch. All right, let's wrap all this up and put everything we've learned into a simple, practical checklist that you can actually use the next time you go grocery shopping.
So here are the rules. 1. Always look for a harvest date. That tells you when the olives were picked, and freshness is key. 2. Choose single origin oil, and if you can, buy Australian. 3. Always buy oil that's in a dark glass bottle to protect it from light. 4. Just ignore all that marketing fluff like first cold press. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And finally, number 5, expect to pay a little more. Real, high-quality olive oil simply costs more to make, and it is absolutely worth it.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that you know the signs, go have a look in your own pantry. Take a look at that bottle you've got sitting there. Is the olive oil in your kitchen the real deal?